So is the ROG Phone 3 better than what I normally film with? Well, I'll let you be the judge. And that was shot entirely with a phone. This is the ASUS ROG Phone 3. It has a Snapdragon 865 Plus that has a clock rate of 3.1 gigahertz and 5G connectivity that does not give you COVID. 512 gigabytes of high-speed storage and 16 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM. It has a 6.59-inch AMOLED display with a refresh rate of 144 Hz. That means you can play your favorite banned FPS game at a higher frame rate than your average gaming PC. And if that wasn't impressive enough, this 6,000 milliamp hour battery will never let you dodge your friends again by saying you missed their calls because the phone died. So let's see if it's really any good. You're gonna see some clips pop up. Can you tell which was filmed from this phone? And I probably should mention that you have a chance to win all of this because we're doing another giveaway. 2 motherboards, 5 video cards, 3 sets of peripherals that include a keyboard, headset, mouse, even this laptop. Oh yeah, and one other thing. Here we go. This gaming monitor too. Now, this all would not be possible without our friends over at ASUS, so big shout out. And I will tell you how you can enter at the end of this video. Now, I don't know what you guys think. You can let me know down below in the comments, but I was pretty impressed what this thing could do with that watermelon sequence. This phone is equipped with a Sony IMX686 64 megapixel image sensor. The main camera shoots at f1.8 and it's essentially a 27mm lens shooting in Super 35. It also has an ultra wide and macro lens, plus it shoots in 8K at 30 frames per second and 4K at 30 and 60 frames per second. In Pro mode, you can modify a bunch of settings. You can even set a manual focus, which I found very helpful. So for most of the watermelon sequence, I played around with handheld, trying to match the movement of the knife as it cut through the melon. And to help smooth out the footage, rather than using my arms to move the phone, I used more of my body, and I am actually really happy with how it came out. Keep in mind, this is not waterproof, so if you're gonna do something around liquid, just be careful. For the watermelon, I actually wrapped it in saran wrap before I dropped it onto the lens. And it worked out really well. I thought maybe the image was gonna look a little hazy, but as long as I kept a fresh piece of saran wrap over it, we were good. Some of my favorite shots I got in slow motion, and you can really slow down this footage and it's still really smooth. Let me see your tongue. And I knew I was gonna do some speed ramping in post-production, so I put the watermelon on a turntable, had it spinning as the phone went by on a slider. So that was a lot of fun. Andie obviously enjoyed herself, but I wanted to see how this phone would do on one of my more typical days of filming. Which, by the way, the full review of that Nissan GT-R comes out in 2 weeks, and in that video is where I announce all the giveaway winners. Now, some of those shots were handheld. I locked my arms, moved my body from side to side as the car passed by. And I was actually really surprised with how smooth the footage was. On top of that, because of the size of this phone, the display screen is so big, which is way bigger than the screen on the back of a traditional camera, making it that much easier to see what you're actually filming. And this phone, super slim and sleek. So when you go to film handheld, you actually might find that your fingers are wrapping around to the front. Just be careful because the camera is right here. You don't want to be filming your finger. So you're gonna have to hold it on the edges. So to improve stabilization, I wanted to hook it up to my gimbal, but I had to get a little creative because this phone alone is too light for the Ronin SC. So at first I thought, well, maybe I'll order a cell phone gimbal, but this is too beefy, it's too heavy for the cell phone gimbals. So that's where a little creativity had to come in play. First, I had to figure out how to even attach it to the gimbal, but then how to add weight so the gimbal would balance correctly. It's not perfect. I think I definitely would need to add a few more counterweights if I were gonna use this in the long term, but the fact that I was able to put it in flashlight mode to get that spinning shot as I pulled back from the headlights, that made me super happy because I never would have been able to do that handheld. Then I threw the phone on this slider using a cell phone mount and it really shined. And because it's so lightweight, I didn't even have to necessarily throw it on a tripod. I could just hold it as it panned across the car. That's also how I got the shot as the phone came out from behind the tire to reveal the rim, or when I entered the car, the phone was positioned up towards the ceiling as it slid under the car. I also thought it'd be fun to attach the phone to the drone, send it up in the air and see what I could get. I used the same phone attachment I used on the gimbal, which then was attached to this mount that you would put on the bottom of the drone. I also reinforced it with a little bit of tape as a backup, just as an added sense of security in case this mount cracked or broke. I didn't want an ROG phone falling out of the sky. So this is what it ended up looking like, plus some tape. Now, I wasn't expecting much because the camera on the drone is stabilized with a gimbal. This, it's just hanging there, so you're kind of at the mercy of the pilot, you know, the outside wind conditions, and also the drone was tilting a lot on its side, so most of my footage is a little crooked. But needless to say, it was a ton of fun, a good experiment. I might do it again, we'll see. But keep in mind, if you're gonna do this, make sure you press record before you send it up, and you're gonna have to catch it when you land it, because coming down like this is not gonna work out very well. And at the end, I mounted this on a tripod, got a time lapse of the sunset. I did it in 1080 and 4K. I tapped the screen at one point, so that's why it got a little bit brighter in one section. Keep in mind, it does time out after 15 minutes, both in 1080 and 4K. So if you want a longer time lapse, you're just gonna have to hang around this phone and just press record a couple times, which it's a pretty cool phone. So you're gonna wanna hang around it because you don't want someone stealing this thing. Not this one. So at the end of the day, is this ROG Phone 3 gonna replace my Sony camera? No, but this thing has some serious power, and it's kind of crazy that something like this even exists. It goes on sale in a few weeks. You can learn more about it. The link is below. Now about the giveaway, if you wanna win, you have to enter through Gleam, and there's only 2 mandatory actions. Follow Andie the Lab and ASUS Republic of Gamers on Twitch. That's it. But then there's also some fun things you can do to score some extra raffles. Wow. You may have noticed the ASUS logo scattered throughout this video. Go through the video, count every logo you see. This is one of them right here. Enter the number, and if you're right, you'll get 500 additional entries. Wow. Also during the giveaway, I will be streaming 2 races. In each race, I will say 1 code word. Type in the word and you get some extra points too. You also can get 300 additional entries if you subscribe to Andie the Lab on Twitch, but again, that's not mandatory. And if you follow ASUS Republic of Gamers North America and Andie the Lab on Twitter, you can get some extra bonus points too. This is a global competition, so you can enter from anywhere as long as you're over the age of 13. It's live now and will be open through September 4th, so good luck. And again, big thank you to ASUS Republic of Gamers, because this wouldn't have been possible without them. Until next time, bye! Have fun!